everyone. Thank you for joining today's wildfire update. As always, please ensure your cameras are off and your microphone remains on mute unless you're asking a question. Today, we'll begin with remarks from Christie Tucker, Information Unit Manager with Alberta Wildfire, and Joe Zatylny, Deputy Managing Director for the Alberta Emergency Management Agency, and then we'll take your questions. Christie, please go ahead.
Thank you. There are currently 119 wildfires burning in the forest protection area of Alberta. Of those, 15 are out of control, 42 are being held, and 62 are under control. Because of recent rain, the wildfire danger is low throughout western and central Alberta. There are areas of higher danger in the northeast and southeast of the province. We've continued to see no or low wildfire growth because of these cooler temperatures and rain. Firefighters are reinforcing the work they've been doing to contain the wildfires on the landscape. In addition to the firefighters' equipment and aircraft supporting wildfire operations in Jasper, Alberta Wildfire crews will assist Parks Canada with wildfire coverage in Banff and Kootenay National Park. This will allow them to focus resources on the wildfire in Jasper. Over the long weekend, we saw 25 new wildfires start. I would like to thank all of those who took action to prevent a wildfire this weekend, either by respecting fire bans and restrictions, paying attention to conditions in their area, checking hotspots while using an off-road vehicle, or by properly extinguishing their campfire. Conditions are expected to start warming up and drying out in the north of the province. Fortunately, with the cooler weather and rain over the weekend, we were able to make good progress reinforcing containment lines on the wildfires in that area, and teams are prepared for a potential increase in activity. For the most up-to-date information about wildfires in the forest protection area, please remember to use the Alberta Wildfire Status app or visit our website. Thank you.
Joe, go ahead.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today for this update. Yesterday, 3 bus tours of the Jasper town site were scheduled and took place, 1 from Edmonton and 2 from Hinton. Today, we have 1 tour that will be departing from Hinton, and we anticipate from Valemont and Edmonton to happen tomorrow as scheduled. Further trips will be planned in the coming days based on the numbers of registrations that we receive. And we continue to accept registrations and communicate dates, times, and other details of upcoming trips directly with those who register. Jasper residents can register for a tour online at alberta.ca/emergency or by calling the Government of Alberta's contact center at 310-4455. In addition to the bus tours, Jasper residents and other Albertans displaced by the wildfires can participate in a telephone town hall this evening at 6 p.m. I encourage all affected residents to call in and receive the latest updates. People can join online at alberta.ca/emergency or by phone at 1-833-380-0691. If people are not able to join, a recording of the event will be posted to alberta.ca/emergency. The Provincial Emergency Coordination Centre remains at an operational level 4 to coordinate the provincial government's emergency response. An evacuation alert remains in effect for the part of Saddle Hills County due to the wildfire burning south of Highway 49 in the Gordondale area. This means residents and visitors in the area should be prepared to evacuate on a short notice. Central Peace Regional Emergency Management will continue to provide updates at saddlehills.ab.ca. Approximately 7,000 residents of the Little Red River Cree Nation continue to return home today. Coordinators continue to work with families to arrange transportation for those who will need it. We also ask those traveling back from home to drive safely and to check 511 for information on road conditions and closures. The current situation in Jasper, Unified Command in Jasper continues to work on a comprehensive re-entry plan. Residents will be able to ask questions to the representatives of the municipality tonight. Progress continues to be made, including the restoration of critical services and the remediation of various safety concerns necessary to safely return. As well, starting yesterday, owners and operators of critical services such as gas stations, grocery stores, pharmacies, banks are being contacted and scheduled to view their businesses to assess damage and understand the current conditions. Alberta Emergency Management Agency staff remain embedded with the local incident management team and continue to provide that seamless connection point between emergency responders and the government of Alberta. The fire risk across the province ranges from low all the way to extreme, depending on location. And we're still encouraging Albertans to think about preparedness and what you need to prepare for a possible evacuation. As I mentioned a few moments ago, evacuation alerts and orders can happen without much warning, and being prepared to leave on a short notice is critical. We have a lot of useful information at alberta.ca/be-prepared. And we encourage all Albertans to stay connected with their local authorities' website and social media channels to make sure they stay and get that updated information. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. We'll now take questions. If you do have a question, please raise your Zoom hand. Reminder, one question and one follow-up. And please state your name and media outlet before you begin. Jonathan, please go ahead.
Hi there, Jonathan Bradley, Western Standard. My first question is for Joe Zatylny. So you spoke about bus tours going to happen on Tuesday and Wednesday. Where do you stand on having these bus tours continue into next week?
Yeah, and we're prepared to continue on with these tours as long as the demand is there and needed. We're making sure we reach out to each resident that signs up and registers. And a lot of this is dependent on when they're ready to go as well. So we're being as flexible as we can. And of course, as the tour continues and they're able to see the town site and their location, that map and plan has to be flexible to accommodate the different areas of the town where residents that are on that bus are affected. And so we're doing our best to meet their needs and accommodate that. And we'll continue on until the need isn't there.
Okay, my follow-up pertains to future bus tours. So at the moment right now, people aren't allowed to get off the bus. They have to remain on the bus when they're in the Jasper town site. What do you think is the possibility of bus tours, say, in a week from now, allowing people off a bus to, just look around?
And to give you a sense, I mean, right now they're repressurizing gas lines in the town. They're re-energizing for the electricity. There's debris removal happening around. It's too early to tell if that would actually change. The plan is to make sure people are as safe as possible going into that environment with the contingencies in case we need to pull them out of there for whatever reason. And so I don't foresee at this moment when that would change. But of course, we are working with command closely, and if conditions change, we would consider that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Morgan, please go ahead. Morgan Black, please go ahead.
All right, about that. Thanks so much for taking my question. I wanted to start by asking about, I know right now it's just escorted bus tours that are going on right now. Are there any plans in place in terms, or at least talks or conversations going in terms of at least the structures that haven't been damaged or any sort of residents able to reside back into town? I guess, is there a timeline in terms of when that could happen?
Sorry, I'm not sure if I heard that full question. Sheena, are you able to repeat it?
Yeah, I was wondering if, so we know bus tours are already going underway right now, and obviously that's escorted. Are there any plans in the works in terms of folks who are able to reside back into town? We know that 30% of the structure have been burnt down, but are damaged, but 70% are not. Is there a timeline on that front in terms of when folks can go back?
So when it comes to the time that residents can re-enter the town, that timeline hasn't been established yet. Currently, they're still underway on damage assessments. They've started allowing critical infrastructure and business owners that are critical to the reentry of the town in to do those initial assessments and determine what is needed to get them back up and running to some degree for when residents and everyone else returns. And so that work is currently underway. And so I would say that that work needs to be further down the road to understand what is required, how long will it take, and getting that work done so that we can get residents in there as quickly as possible.
Thank you. And then just my follow-up question is you mentioned that there's a town hall that's going to be happening this evening for folks who can, for evacuees who can ask questions. Can you just maybe break down in terms of who's going to be at this town hall and like what type of supports or questions that can be answered?
Yeah, and I think so the town hall information, we're going to release that shortly with who's present. So if we can come back to you with all the details on that, that would be great.
Morgan, if you send an email to aema.media@gov.ab.ca, we can provide you with a bit more information on the town hall.
Awesome. Okay, thanks.
Dennis, please go ahead.
CBC Fort McMurray. My question is mostly for Christie. Yesterday, Chief Conroy Peggaham of Little Red River Cree Nation said in his video update that they're hoping to establish a fire guard around the fire HWF 136 in the SEMA complex, and so my understanding, encircle it completely, and also make a good progress on establishing the perimeter around the southern end of wildfire HWF 061, all within 4 days. Can you kind of comment on that and if the timelines for these activities that the chief provided yesterday in his update are what you expect in Alberta Wildfire as well?
Thanks, Dennis. Yes, the crews have been making good progress on the SEMO complex, and that includes several crews who came from Little Red River Cree Nation as well. So I'm sure the chief is well informed both by those crews and by our team who is in communication with him. We do, as I've mentioned previously, the complex has not moved significantly, so we are containing the wildfire successfully. It is still classified as out of control, but we do have more than 450 firefighters and support personnel working on that fire, as well as 22 helicopters and 110 pieces of heavy equipment. So a significant number of resources assigned to the SEMO complex there, and they are continuing to work, as the chief said, on reinforcing perimeter, particularly in the southeast and east end. And I know as well that there is structural protection in the communities as well that they've been working on.
And in his update, the chief also thanked some international firefighters, including those from Costa Rica, he said. Can you provide an update on where the international firefighters are in Alberta right now? What fires are they mostly working on, and where they are from? Because this is the first time I heard of firefighters from Costa Rica.
Well, firefighters from Costa Rica are going to be joining us on Wednesday. I believe in the next couple of days, they will be arriving into Alberta, and we will be generally sending them around the province where they're needed. But certainly there will be some Costa Rican firefighters heading to SEMO complex in that area. One of the benefits of the mutual aid agreements that we have, and particularly the work that we're doing through the Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Centre, is our ability to call in additional international resources, particularly when Canadian resources are stretched with fire seasons and conditions in BC and Saskatchewan and other agencies who are looking for help as well. So we have been happy to welcome firefighters from Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Mexico, and they have been throughout the province where they're needed. And we certainly appreciate that ability to be flexible and to assign those resources in those areas where we are seeing more opportunity to use their assistance.
Thanks, Christie. Zach, over to you.
Hey, this is a question for Christie. I'm with the Edmonton Journal. We heard earlier today from in a Parks Canada update that they are going to be treating the entire fire in its specific areas and making their assessments based on an area that's closer to the city versus not in terms of the safety of it all based on its status and assigning different statuses depending on the region of the fire. I was curious if this has ever been done before with Alberta Wildfire, and if so, in what cases?
I couldn't speak to assigning different statuses to different sections. I do know that the Jasper wildfire originally started as two fires, and so they did join together as the fire grew, and that's why it's being treated as a complex. And I can tell you that a complex is something that we do all of the time, and that's when you have multiple wildfires in the same vicinity. Generally, there might be a situation where they were caused by one incident, such as lightning, and you will have concentrated wildfires in a particular area. It makes more sense to more efficiently fight them with the same team. I know in Parks Canada, they have 700 firefighters and support staff there working on it. So the most efficient use of their time is to fight this fire as a complex, and certainly the fact that it has grown together makes it easier to do that. Now, what we would normally do when we have a large-scale complex with Alberta Wildfire is to differentiate parts of the fire into zones. And you may have different commanders and operations chiefs for particular zones, and they will be working together under the umbrella of the incident management team. So that is certainly something that would be standard practice for a large scale incident such as this.
Thanks for that. Also, he was sort of talking about the state of the current sort of fire threat, I guess, and how long they kind of expect that to go, saying that, this season could, like previous seasons, go into the fall as well. And I was curious if that was on Alberta Wildfire's radar at the moment, or if you have any kind of rough idea based on current conditions, how long you expect this fire season to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's not unusual for a large-scale wildfire to take weeks, months, and sometimes even more than a year to fully extinguish a wildfire. Now, there's certainly a difference between an out-of-control wildfire and an extinguished wildfire. There are a lot of stages in between, and they can do a significant amount of work in controlling and containing the wildfire, bringing it under control before the final extinguishment. But certainly, yes, a large-scale wildfire, it is burning in some challenging terrain as well. It will very much depend on how much precipitation they get on that fire, but for us, it would not be unusual for a large-scale wildfire to take several weeks, certainly, if not months, to fully extinguish. And so, yes, we are looking to the conditions coming in. Last year, we did see some fires into the fall, and there's obviously long-term forecasting is a little less accurate than our ability to forecast in the short term, but it is something that we need to be prepared for, certainly if we get those dry, hot conditions later in the season than we normally would.
Thanks.
Thanks, Christy. That looks like that's all the questions we have, so we'll wrap it up. But just a reminder that the daily media update will be sent out after 3:30 p.m. today. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.